was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Comics League Amazon Answers. Yes, that will be the name of the show because I think it's pretty dope. And the way it's going to work again is every Sunday I do a little Q&A about Wonder Woman, and this week's theme is animation. So I'm going to answer all your guys' questions concerning Wonder Woman in animation, and we will see what questions you guys bring me. So again, this relates to Wonder Woman in animation. It can be DCAU, Tomorrowverse, AMU, a Wonder Woman animated series or movie series, whatever you guys would like to ask. So who shall be first to ask a question about Wonder Woman in animation? Hey, what's up, Cameron? How you doing, my brother? So yeah, so today it's like any animation that you guys would like to reference to talk about concerning concerning that now. Yeah. So ask me any questions concerning Wonder Woman in animation. So let me know what type of Wonder Woman questions in terms of animation would you like to see? Because it could be anything you guys want. Hey, what's up, NJ? Yeah, so any Wonder Woman animation questions that you guys would like to know, I can try to at least answer them and provide a little clarity when it comes to our favorite Amazon. So let me know what you would like me to answer. Again, DCU, DCU. Let me start with okay. Bruce Timm, the man himself. Why did he treat Diana like that? Because here's the thing, and R.I.P. Kevin Conroy said the same thing: is that they considered Wonder Woman to be one note and not as a complex a character as Harley Quinn. So they held Harley Quinn in more regard than Wonder Woman. So that right there tells you exactly the level of reverence that the DCAU held, and that is one of the many reasons why I don't like the DCA. That it's not like I don't like it. It's just I have severe problems with it because of how they treated Wonder Woman. And the sad part is, well, if you don't think that she is some depth, you don't turn her into a bat simp, because that's pretty much what you do. You turned her into an angry bat simp. And I'm watching this when I was doing Justice League Rewatch with Nick. I was like, okay, wait a minute. Why is that? Why does that work? I really just I don't understand why this universe is held in such regard when it destroys Wonder Woman like that. And that's why, again, I will never be able to, like, after learning so much about Wonder Woman, I kind of can't watch it the same way again, because I'm like, I know how they feel about Diana, and it's really stupid. What other questions do you guys have? Give me any question that you guys would like concerning it. Let's see. What other animation questions? Can be anything about iterations, versions of the characters and such. Whatever you guys would like to know concerning Wonder Woman in animation. Is there any chance that DC may give us a series, or is that out the window considering animation has not been that good lately? What you got to understand is that yeah, there is like we have to consider the contract that is under there for Wonder Woman, so that there is that slight issue. But when it comes down to it, in terms of like animation, I mean, it hasn't been all bad, Cameron, because considering Batman Ninja 2 Wonder Woman was fantastic. It's you just need the right creative team. That's what you need, because if you get the right creative team, then you will have an iconic series like out there. NJ says her villains got Butch in that show. Literally didn't feel like Wonder Woman character. Cersei and Cheetah interact more with Batman. Yeah, exactly. Like when Cheetah is like flirting with Batman, or Batman's flirting with Cheetah. Yeah, exactly. I remember going like, I don't think Wonder Woman even fights Cheetah once in any of the series. I know she fights Giganta at least once in one episode, but I'm not sure if she fights Cheetah in DCAU, which is very sad. Like, it's ridiculously stupid, because I'm like, wait, she's a Wonder Woman villain. It's because once again, when you see like it's because the issue that I have with like when you get to Justice League is that the DCAU people forgot that they were writing other characters other than Batman, because it basically turned into Bat worship. That's what it turned into, because they were like, okay, so yeah, we're gonna do like we're gonna have like Batman be the central character of the DCAU, and I'm like, he shouldn't be. It was fine for his animated series, obviously, but when Batman becomes like the crux of anything there, I'm completely no, I'm done. I'm annoyed and pissed off, and that's why I just really I can't like enjoy that series as much as I can anymore, because I just look at that. I look at how they considered Wonder Woman, and then it's like, so that was your solution. That was your solution to make Wonder Woman more relevant, if you will. Hey, what's up, Omen? So that was your solution, Bruce Tim. Or in this case, it was Dwayne McDuffie and all the other people at DCAU. Your plan was to make Wonder Woman thirst over Batman constantly. That was your solution. It's I'm sorry, that is just ridiculously stupid, and you wonder why. I'm hoping that more and more people start to wake up to the fact that this series wasn't as peak as people think it is, particularly Justice League. Hopefully, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see in terms of that, but I still think it is possible to get a really good Wonder Woman animation thing, because we've had it happen. The Tomorrowverse Wonder Woman with Justice Society, World War II, Crisis, and all that stuff, that was peak Wonder Woman. That was probably the best. DCAMU started good up until you get to Death of Superman, because my problem with Death of Superman, it has nothing to do with Super Wonder. I mean, maybe a little. But the main problem is that when you look at it, she is used as a mouthpiece to prop up Lois, saying, yeah, Clark and I had was nice, but you're the love of his life. And then it's like where they made Wonder Woman thirst over the Eradicator. I'm like, what? Are you freaking serious? It's because again, Tucker had said that like that scene was intended to like make the people that like Super Wonder go, no, you should like Lois. And I'm like, you don't get to, I'm sorry, dude. You don't get to tell us what we should like. It's like a lot of those creatives during like the 90s in comics were like trying to tell you're trying to tell people you shouldn't want Image Comics. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. You have to produce an alternative. If you don't produce a good alternative, I'm sorry, that's just the way it works. But no, it is just it's too these people are just too stupid. That's what it leads to. Stupid or lazy. That's really what, at least the way I kind of see it. What do you guys think? Let me know. Can be. What other questions do you guys have in terms of animation? Animated series, maybe animated movies, whatever you guys would like to know, or if you guys would like my thoughts on any of the Wonder Woman animated content that we have gotten, I'm here for the next hour or so. So let's see. In your opinion, what outfit would you love for artists or animators to use in a Wonder Woman animated series? If it's animation, I'm fine with the swimsuit because you don't have to. I mean, you still are gonna have pervs on the internet like objectifying Wonder Woman. That's the way it works, but it's less like it's gonna affect a real person as opposed to just the character. And that's something that like Britt and I have talked about on the show a lot. Is that we think that Wonder Woman should really in the live action movie should be in the armor because for comfort of the actress of like being objectified. But when you get to like the animated series, it's fine being it's 100% fine being in the swimsuit. And also in the comics as well. I'm fine with that. Although again, it's most likely going to be that like the comics are going to reflect the movie, so it looks like the armor is staying with Wonder Woman. Not that I really have that much of a aversion to the armor. It's just I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. I get it. What about you guys? What other questions do you guys have? Omen says, would you like if Wonder Woman does a Batman has an outfit she pulls out depending on the threat? Well, that's what she kind of has, Omen, when it comes to the golden armor that she wears, like in Kingdom Come, where it's only like the biggest like threats get the golden armor, which in 1984 when they were doing the whole Maxwell Lord fight, yeah, of course they were going to do that. But of course she was going to do the golden armor. The problem is the threat ultimately didn't add up to using it. And then NJ says that's not the first time Cheetah or Wonder Woman villains got used in disrespect outside Wonder Woman media. They almost never interact with Wonder Woman. Cheetah got beaten by Catwoman and Red Hood, and Cersei by Commandos. Yeah, I know. Isn't that really stupid? How can DC expect audience to respect Wonder Woman when the creative team doesn't? I know, right? That's my thing. If they really don't care about Wonder Woman, then they have to stop like calling her like the third member of the Trinity, their most iconic female character, their words. They have to stop doing that because ultimately it's tantamount to it's a form of it's like a non-illegal form of false advertising because you're telling me this character is so important to you, yet you don't show it. You just don't. I know I think about the golden armor. What's so special about anti-virgin? Well, yeah, because what it's supposed to be is that's like the Amazon's like crap is hitting the fan armor. That's what's supposed to be. 1984 just used it for nostalgia reasons to bring people in and be, look, they're using the golden armor. Or as I like to call it, I call a lot of this stuff nostalgia armor because on these because it's like when creatives know that these these projects probably aren't that like high quality and they're like quick put in a bunch of Easter eggs because we put in a bunch of Easter eggs all the annoying people that like I mean all the fans will say it's really great because guess what, we will officially we will have like the fans will overlook stuff because oh my gosh, look, they did this, they referenced this, they referenced this. That's what you really get to see there. What other questions do you guys have about Wonder Woman and animation? Could be anything you guys want. Anything you guys want to know about that type of about comics and stuff. particularly Wonder Woman. And Amazonians and animations. Let's see, what other question you have? How come DC fans defend James Gunn about Cersei being beaten by a weasel? Would they feel offended if there's a Batman villain? Yeah, they would. Except here's why. Here's why, Omen. Because the DC fan, those DC fans refuse to admit that there is some stuff that's like concerning about the DCU, because they're trying to hype themselves up because they don't want to admit that like the DC fan base is still the DC movies are still like on the edge. So they're trying to like honestly delude themselves. They're trying to overhype themselves, but what they're also doing is setting themselves up for disappointment. I don't think Lois or Steve would survive the Charles Soule run. You really have to water down the story to make that work. Yeah, exactly. You really, really, really do. Can the swimsuit in live action be designed in a way that won't be sexualized? No, no. Season post what? No. Art for in comics is different than live action because you're dealing with a real person, and the way they recreate it I don't think I look at it this way. If they can do it well, then hey, you know what? More power to you. I do not trust them to do it right. I really don't. Because I think that what they're gonna do is they'll make it all tight and stuff. I don't think the swimsuit will work in live action. I really honestly don't. I really don't. And it has to do with the way it's not going to look, because will it look accurate? Yeah, but it's going to lead to a significant over sexualization of the actress, and that's not really it's not really right. In the first animated series for Wonder Woman, do you think they should go for an inexperienced route? Just take the Perez run and then adapt that. Because yes, you would have that, and then as the seasons go by, she becomes more experienced. She becomes more, I don't want to say full of herself, but more confident in her abilities as a superhero. But it definitely, yes, for season one, do the inexperience, and then assuming we get more seasons, do other stuff. Or if you wanted to just skip the origin and just have it take place in an established Wonder Woman, which that could be the route they go. Yeah, just do that. Just don't do the inexperienced route and just stay with, okay, we're just gonna do Wonder Woman like being Wonder Woman stuff. What else do you guys think? You can ask me any questions you guys want concerning Wonder Woman. Any questions? Which villains should be her roadblock, like Scarecrow was for Batman using the deepest fears? You could use. Okay, let's see. Hmm. You could use. In terms of Wonder Woman villains that I think could be like the main force like that, Dr. Psycho, because he has that mental manipulation power, and then through that, what you could use is that you can kind of do the Scarecrow thing with Wonder Woman and exposing her deepest fears. They kind of did that in the comics a few times. Or you could just do see if the Sovereign were done well, you could have done that. But again, it's by Tom King, so what do you expect? Yeah, I would say if you want to go with more of the using her innermost fears, Dr. Psycho. I hope they can pull it off well, because in that way we'll be free from the boring battle skirt in comics. Which, yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll get rid of the battle skirt. But here's the thing: it's like, again, it's like I'm just not convinced that it would be like necessarily appropriate for that, and that's just me. It's like, again, if they can do it well, fine. I don't have confidence that they can do it well. I think, particularly if it's a universe overseen by James Gunn, I think he's going to over sexualize the crap out of any actress that plays Wonder Woman. That's the unfortunate thing, is that we're dealing with James Gunn, the dude that in Suicide Squad zoomed in on someone's breast as she was walking. Because after the inexperienced route, and she gets used to the routine, a robotic villain is needed that requires mental efforts, not physical effort. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said Dr. Psycho, because she can't punch him and stuff. Yeah. So, what other questions do you guys have concerning Wonder Woman? Anything with animation, or anything that you guys think should be implemented, or anything like that? I normally don't embrace the hate, but I got tired of close fans talking about how DC got rid of Super Wonder, so I rubbed it in their face that our book made. Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's the way it kind of. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. That's the way that you're doing the Lord's work, Randy. You're doing the Lord's work. But in terms of questions about Wonder Woman in animation, what other cues do you guys have when it comes to Wonder Woman, or even the Amazons, if you want to talk about the Amazons and how they should be portrayed in like DCU animation and such? All right, that's another factor that I think could very well happen, that they turn the Paradise Lost series into an animated series. So I guess in a way that would be Wonder Woman's animated series. I just hope we will be free from the battle scar and return to the classic swimsuit. What they could do is take like the upper armor part, like here. Here's a visual aid, right? Uh, uh, Real quick, but what's wrong with the battle skirt? I just want to know. I want to know that, really. By the way, so okay, so what you could do is like take the for lack of a better term, bathing suit part from like this area, but keep the upper armor. You could do that. That would be a way to compromise it. But still, it's like I don't think that kind of works. And it's like, but it depends. It's just because here's the thing. It's like a lot of it's like characters and costumes also should be able to evolve. So I would love. Well, we can talk. Yeah, that would be really great, Don J. How can they make the Invisible Jet look cool? I'll be honest, it's always been lame to me. Well, you can make. Well, you definitely can, because because essentially what the Invisible Jet's used for, per se, is like one of the purposes is like if she's flying with someone that can't fly, like if she's transporting, like let's say she and like Steve went somewhere, she would be with they would be in the Invisible Jet, or like the Wonder Girls, even though the Wonder Girls can fly, or like her and Cheetah or something like that. So that's really what it's used for, and like occasionally some fun stuff, because Diana does like flying and stuff. So it definitely does for the most part work. Again, it also really hyper depends it on how the creative does it. It's a hyper dependent on the creative because really that's that's the thing. It's like if a good creative can make something work. So with the Jet be for team up episodes, yeah, I would say so. Probably that's a good way to do it. That's a definitely good way to do it. Have the Jet be for episodes where like she hangs out with like other characters, like the Wonder Girls, or even crossover episodes with like Batman or like any of the Justice Leaguers that can't fly. And then for most of the other times, it's just her flying. And what's kind of funny, they made a joke about this in the Justice League Crisis on Two Earths animated movie, where Barry like runs straight into it. He go turns to Diana. He goes, "Why do you think? Why do you have a plane? You can fly." And then Green Lantern goes, "You drive a car." So that was really fun. Randy says, "How about the battle skirt that Jim Lee made for the For Tomorrow storyline?" Hang on, let me see that. Okay, For Tomorrow, because I have that comic here. All right. So let's see. I think I know what you're talking about. Oh, you mean essentially the actual skirt and stuff. That actually doesn't look that bad. That would actually work. I'm gonna pull up a image of that. Batman and Superman returned to their classic looks with the trunks and colors many years ago. Yeah, but Batman is getting away from that, as far as I know. Way too iconic to throw it away. The three should be treated equally. Yeah, but the three weren't as. I see what you're saying, NJ. I disagree. I still disagree, but hey, there you go. But so let me show you this. Jim Lee Wonder Woman. Superman for tomorrow. Here's what Randy's talking about. Because Jim Lee actually had a pretty decent like compromise here. Hang on, I gotta find a good like zoomed in image of it. It's like here. Like if they did this, because this would be a return to even more classic when you have like the actual like yeah, exactly skirt that like the original golden age Wonder Woman had. So that would actually be a better way to do it. Because that way you get rid of the like Greek warrior skirt that apparently everyone's against except for me because I actually like the armored look. But that way you also homage the past for Wonder Woman. So there you go. I think that would work. I think that would really work. And by the way, NJ, if you're talking about them going back to looks for the classic trunks, most people I talk to about those trunks still thinks they're stupid. So, do you really want to go down this route? Gotta be honest, I have never liked white stars on her. Well, they do that because okay, so here's what people forget about the costume. The reason why it's red, white, and blue is because essentially what happens is when you crash land on the Amazon in Themyscira and they send you back and they send like a champion to like escort you back and stuff, she wears the armor of the color of your country's colors. That's the way the lore establishes it. That's why Wonder Woman is dressed in the American flag. If a Canadian fell on the island, she would have leaves everywhere. If it was German, it'd be the German flag. It's hyper dependent on who crash lands on the island. Actually, I want to know because I used to think this. How has Max become known for one of her villains when you? It's because of the neck snap. That's why, Cameron. It's because of the neck snap. Even though, yeah, you're right. He really isn't her villain. So I'm like, that is very interesting when people think that like Maxwell Lord is a Wonder Woman villain, where really he's more of a Justice League villain. So it's really interesting with that. But yeah, so that's what people. Again, going back to the costume, that's what people forget about the idea of like why Wonder Woman has the American flag on her costume. That's why, because it's based upon who on who she escorts back to man's world. What else do y'all got? Any questions concerning Wonder Woman, the Amazons, that mascara, whatever you want to know about? How sensitive Wonder Woman fans feel about her Sword and the Shield. Would you love animators too? Yeah, but here's the thing: it's not necessarily just Sword and Shield that people have issues with. It's her having other weapons, plural. With me, again, I'm more of the it's hyper dependent on the threat she is facing, like with the golden armor and such. If she's facing an enemy that's like a bank robber or stuff, yeah, she doesn't need the Sword and the Shield. But if she's facing like Doomsday or Medusa, yeah, strap as many blades on her as possible. It really just depends on the threat she's facing. And as a warrior, Diana would be more cognizant of that and be able to say, okay, so based on the armor that I wear, I'm sorry, based on the threat that I'm facing, that is when I just that is what determines, for lack of a better term, my loadout. That's kind of where I go with that. It's kind of where I go with that. If Stellar Blade can reach the level of popularity, I don't see why Diana can't. It can be done if DC. Yeah, exactly. No, it's not like there's a problem with the character. It's just WB doesn't want to put the effort in. Because if they did that, then guess what? They would have a healthy world. They with one of the biggest female characters around, but they really don't. Do you think the Marston contract will be sorted out by WB second? Yes, I think I honestly I wouldn't be surprised, MJ, if the Marston estate is in active discussions with James Gunn and DC Studios about this, because I guarantee you they have had DC Studios has had this conversation with them and is like, listen, with how strict you guys are on this contract, we're not able to put her in stuff. If you want her to be this big character, and look this way, it's getting to the point where you might as well have just not had the contract and just cancel the character. That's what it is. So it's kind of like it's kind of like I guarantee you they are, because here's the thing: they did this in the DCEU state days, because it's like DC told them, it's like, look, you are stifling the character. We're not allowed to use her in practically anything unless she's a prominent role. We she then she won't appear in stuff. She wouldn't have appeared in Batman versus Superman if they didn't talk to them about it. So I'm fairly certain. I don't have any insider information or anything like that, so I don't want to misrepresent it. I'm just saying that I would not be surprised if they are actively in conversation with the Marstons to get a Wonder Woman animated series in there. As a normie, um, new Batman gadgets and new Superman power cause a lot of hype in their animated series. I feel like the lasso only restriction would not be good for the show. No, again, it depends on what she's doing in the show. Because if she's just fighting bank robbers, she doesn't need a sword and the shield. But again, if she's fighting like a Greek god or like Doomsday or a significant threat like a monster, yeah, break out in the sword and the shield. Absolutely, break it out of there and go to town. That's what you should do. But yeah, it's like you don't want her to like overcompensate or like escalate the fight. So that's what I'm doing. Which outfit do you normally prefer for Wonder Woman's villain Giganta? I prefer the classic Legion of Doom. I'm more in term of the. I kind of prefer the one piece jumpsuit she had in the Simone run. I'll pull that up real quick. or like it wasn't even in the in the Simone run, but I'll go with this. It's like this. I prefer this. That's good. It's kind of where I am on that. Here's a I think it's a better view of that. Or here. Yeah, it's kind of that. I prefer that. I'm kind of more leaning in that direction of a gigantic costume. It's gigantic. Well, a lot of the characters I could go either way with them, but it's more like with Wonder Woman, I'm a little more. I'm still like against a lot of that. The Cave Woman, yeah, it's an interesting design, but yeah, it's an interesting design. I just prefer the one piece jumpsuit. That's just me. That's just me. The cave suit does look interesting though. It definitely does because remember it depends on which Giganta you're going for. Are you going for the one that was an ape that was then hyper evolved, or you're going with just a woman? Because either way, because I believe there are two different characters if I remember correctly. It might depend on the story she's into. Yeah, exactly. It really depends on the story. Do you ever watch the Wonder Woman Bloodlines movie? Was it hit or miss? Okay, that's actually a great idea. So here's the thing. I've recently been reevaluating a lot of my Wonder Woman movie content that I've watched. I still love the first 2017 movie, hate the second one. As for Bloodlines, that is one of the movies I loathe the most because that was Wonder Woman being turned into a mouthpiece. And then you add on to that, it's basically crapping on everything that came before. So I'm not a fan of that. The 2009 movie, though, was the movie that when I rewatched it for movie night recently, it actually got much better. It aged very well for me, the 2009 Wonder Woman animated movie, and that's the one I'm most likely to watch if I want to watch a Wonder Woman movie. The other ones I still will if it's maybe on streaming, but for the most part, I'm like, it's not necessarily my favorite. She was fine. Wonder Woman. It's the cards for World Days. Yeah, exactly. The 2009 actually did a nice. Yeah, it did a great job with Ares. The music was spectacular. Like I remember, when I sat down to watch it, I forgot about the dope soundtrack, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, this feels like an ancient Greek movie, which that's what Wonder Woman should be, honestly, because that's where everything starts to really like come together, if you will. I, do you think Justice League Action deserves a second season? Yeah, I do. It was really fun. I like the format of it, and I really enjoyed like a lot of the fun interactions in that. So yeah, I do think it deserved a second season, Barry. Um, I hope Wonder Woman villains will be using the Wonder Woman media from now on. The disrespect needs to stop. Yeah, exactly. Like my friend Robert and I recorded an episode where we talked about a story where Wonder Woman is like, in my opinion, disrespected, and I'm like, no, I really don't. I don't dig this. Or it's like again, it's like in the current in the current DC event, they straight up disrespect Cheetah. So I'm like, what are you guys doing? What can the animated series do to make Cheetah a threat? Like, not gonna lie, the character has been depicted as a bum or a goon. Not necessarily, but in terms of like what they can do. like actually make her murder people or actually enchant her claws or stuff to make her a threat to Diana. I know the creators of the 2009 movie stated that Cheetah was meant to be your main opponent. Yeah, but I'm fine with Ares also working by it. Ares is another villain where I'm like, yeah, the Sword and the Shield actually works. The only thing I remember for DC New 52 anime movie she was up. Yeah, exactly. Why does DC market her like this? Like they have to realize the damage they're doing to her. Honestly, first off, DC is not necessarily known for realizing their mistakes. So I'm gonna tell you that right now. The second thing is like no, because from a marketing perspective, having this badass female superhero makes sense, and she's existed about as long as Batman and Superman. So she has the longevity and people know her. The the problem is, or it's like even here's the thing. This should tell you the opinion that DC has of Wonder Woman. So essentially, all right. When the Wonder Woman 2017 movie came out and was huge, DC editorial was pissed off because they thought that Wonder Woman was overshadowing their male heroes. Like, I kid you not, that was the mindset of DC. They were upset that they're getting more money. Yeah, they're upset. And I'm like, no. If we're giving you money, what difference does it make where it comes from? But no, DC is like really prideful. They're super overprotective of like Batman and stuff. Well, she is gotta fight Catwoman in her anime movie. I know that was stupid. I'm like, why choose Cheetah? First off, that animated movie was weird. It wasn't really my favorite of an animated movie, but it wasn't like horrible. I'm gonna tell you that. How was she overshadowed when they had more media than her? Well, because modern day, her movies were more successful than the others. So that's the problem. If someone is thinking that, then they're stupid. Wonder Woman, as much as I like her, she will never overshadow Batman and Superman. Well, yeah, but they were afraid at that moment that because she was selling so well, that's what was going to happen. Never said it was like the right opinion. Not gonna lie, I love how Zach shows how badass Wonder Woman is. Her and Aquaman being the one that kills Steppenwolf was great. Yeah, that was dope. I love that. She can be the lead in a good series of movies of her own or mixed. Well, fun fact: did you guys know that the Justice Society World War II movie was originally supposed to be a Wonder Woman's like series that would have been her and the Justice Society fighting through World War II in time? That's what it was supposed to be. To be fair, I think Lois. Well, they are very protective of Lois. I don't think more than Batman, because Batman sells and Lois doesn't. But that's beyond the point there. Yep, that's right. That's right, Cameron. That is right. It's because the Batman vs Superman was crap. No, it wasn't. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It definitely was not bad. So I'm not gonna like do that. Watch the extended cut if you think it's bad. And they raw storytelling the DCU so bad with the main Justice League. It was sad. Watch the Snyder cut. That's all I'm gonna say on that. That's all I'm going to say on that. but yeah, do you have an explanation why they didn't do that? I have no idea. I think at that point, because what's interesting is Krieg did say that like the reason why they went with Crisis to like end the animated universe when they did, because they planned like a bunch more movies. They said that with the transition from like the old WB to Gun, they were in limbo as to what this meant for their universe. They're like, let's just play it safe and end it. Now, it wasn't Gun saying end your universe, but it was more like they took the initiative to end it. I own the Snyder Cut of Batman vs Superman on Blu-ray. Oh, great! But watch the extended cut of BVS. It's much better of a movie. I always say. Safe to say, DC is a sexist company. If she sends it, no. If she was in the hands of all those other ones, no, it would not be any better. NJ, it would not, because there are plenty of times that those companies like are just as sexist, if not more, to their female characters. So let's not say that if she was in the hands of Image or any of the other characters, that it would be much better. Trust me, it wouldn't. Did Wonder Woman and Superman ever have a baby in the Justice Kingdom? Yes, they did. Many in they had like 5 kids in the Kingdom Come one. They had a kid in Act of God. They had a kid in. Let me see. New 52 Donna was going to be their kid. I'm trying to think what else. What 2 characters do you think do you want to orbit around Wonder Woman every episode? Julia and Vanessa Capitelis, the first 2 people that she really met when she came to Man's World, who taught her about, for lack of a better term, the real world, if you will, because they acted like a mother and sister, like away from home, if you will, a dynamic for Diana. Particularly in the George Perez run of Wonder Woman, which is called Gods and Mortals. Not Gods and Monsters, as Tom King incorrectly labeled it. That's that's a good idea. Do you want the animated series to not take place in Themyscira? It can take place partly in Themyscira, but not entirely, I don't think. Don't forget Steve Trevor, the big brother figure, not the love interest. That's the other thing. That's the other thing that I would do. That's the other thing you need, because it's like what the Perez run did is it let Diana be a character all on her own, as opposed to being dependent on a love interest. Whereas opposed with King, or like with a lot of other runs, she is defined by being with Steve Trevor. That's the way it works. I hope things go well soon and we get more Wonder Woman. I think we will. I'm hopeful, NJ, of the future. But yeah, at the very least, we get good Wonder Woman portrayals in other mediums, like with Batman Ninja 2, and into the comics with Absolute Wonder Woman, which, by the way, so King did an interview on Comic Pop where he talks about, well, DC's happy with the sales of my Wonder Woman run, and I want to make it to 100 issues. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're not. In terms of DC being happy with the sales, they could say that now, but your series, but assuming you're, again, by the way, before you ask, NJ, we don't have the updated numbers yet, but if they keep dropping like that, you're not going to last. So it's like, I wish he would stop doing that. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to drum up like support to maybe like, oh no, I have plans for 100 issues. You really want to see my plans? Please support my book. So I'm like, no, I'm not into that. He's strong. How strong are the Sons of Themyscira compared to Wonder Woman? They're not like at all. They're the male Amazons on the island, and the DCU portraying them as just like QAnon, like January 6ers, is stupid as hell. That was the first part where I was like, no, I hate that. Would you be happy if Universal owned these characters? Well, we'd get a Wonder Woman theme park. That much I'm sure of. Yes, I would. As a matter of fact, if they sold DC Universal, which by the way, that's what I think could happen, assuming the DCU fails, is that WB sells it to Universal, and then maybe Universal can get a better deal with the Marstons, and then we'll get more Wonder Woman content. Maybe even we can get a Wonder Woman theme park again, because I think that'd be super fun to walk around Themyscira. You never know, really. Whatever happened to the Suns? Are they still around? In New 52, they were all killed off by the New 52 Donna Troy. So, yeah, I really hated that. I really, really. So on Monday, so tomorrow, Britt and I are releasing the Super Wonder Legacy episode on New 52 Wonder Woman, and we talk about that, where we really didn't like New 52 Donna being like created to like fight Diana, and I'm like, no, that doesn't work. Just stop. It really ends up like honestly being a bit of an insult and stuff. So I'm like, just stop. Just stop. To me, Steve Trevor should be treated like Harvey Dent. They're important characters, but not. Yeah, exactly. If Superman flops, will WB sells DC then? I think so. And there's been some arguments to that effect that it will be like WB finally admitting that they can't do like that they can't do a shared cinematic universe. So eventually, what they decide to do is like sell it to another company, and then there you go, and then we get Universal. Because what's really happening is that what Zaslav is kind of doing is he is like, in a lot of ways, he is like prepare. He basically bought the company to like prep it for sale. That's kind of what he's doing, like an asset flip, if you will. That's kind of where you get that. What else you guys got? What other questions do you guys have? Going for almost an hour. Yay. What's the new 52 did the episodes was questionable, but at least Diana was still herself throughout the run. For the most part, there were some times where she didn't necessarily act like herself. However, I do kind of dig like some of the stuff they did with New 52. Like if you read the Charles Sewell Superman and Wonder Woman run, even the haters admit that yeah, that's the one. She's acting most like Diana there. I'll give you that. It really depends on like who's writing her in that case. What else you guys got? They would sell DC, but for all we know, Disney would be banned from. Yeah, it wouldn't be Disney. It wouldn't be Disney. Essentially, because since Disney owns Marvel, that would get into antitrust territory and like a monopoly, and they're not going to be allowed to purchase DC. They're just not. What existing DC animated art star would you prefer her series to adopt? That's a good question. I would go with, let's see, DC art style. I would kind of prefer either the DC AMU from like the Justice League War and all that stuff, or what you could do is do Honestly, I would go with the what's the word? What's this movie? New Frontier animation style. I felt that that was really good. And yes, I don't want DC. I don't want Disney anywhere near DC because they will royally screw it up. They look at what they've done with Marvel. I hope Gunn gives a complete creative freedom to producers. If not, I don't trust him with Wonder Woman at all, and he should stay far away from her. The same with WB. Well, here's the thing, NJ. The issue with that is that when you get to like when you're dealing with giving complete creative freedom, then we get people that don't understand Wonder Woman, like Tom King, in charge of her. Because for all we know, Gunn would make Tom King the writer of the Wonder Woman movie if like if like he gave complete creative freedom, and then guess what? We'd be in really bad like a really bad spot. And quite honestly, I don't trust like a lot. I don't trust James Gunn to properly handle Diana. I just don't. I'm just gonna tell you that right there. I really just do not trust it. See how the new Frontier art style would go hard. Yeah, I think that that would go really well because Diana looked great in that. KHLS. I went to some said Black Widow is more a female icon than Wonder Woman. It's purely because of that. Mm-hmm. I would like to see what an animated series kind of like My Adventures in Win. Nope, do not want them in charge. Definitely do not want them in charge because I really royally did not like the My Adventures with Superman show. Like it got really infuriating later on, and they basically made Superman a super simp for Lois, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, that is just dumb. It didn't work out for that. Diana also look in the Ruby Spears. Yeah, she looked good in that too. That's another animation style. Marvel would trade Black Widow and Storm and Captain Marvel for Wonder Woman in a heartbeat. People have no idea. Yeah, but I do not want Marvel in charge of Wonder Woman. Definitely not. They will royally screw it up. Like, trust me. You say that you know not what you ask. They will royally destroy Wonder Woman. I hated the Blue Snowman debut there. They had a fun Wonder Woman villain. I hate when they wasted that. Yeah, exactly. It's like they keep taking Wonder Woman villains and giving them to other characters, and I'm like, just stop. Just please stop. Just get give us Wonder Woman stuff, and then we'll see what happens. Just give us Wonder Woman stuff and stop giving Wonder Woman stuff to other characters. Um, If you want DC to Disney, then it'll make her any other female superhero woke. And I strategically don't want to. Not necessarily woke. It's just contrived, is what I'm going to say there. In your opinion, what Marvel hero has the potential of a Wonder Woman that they destroyed? Captain Marvel, definitely Captain Marvel. Because if you read Ms. Marvel back when she was like well written, she actually was like a really great character. And they put Kelly Sue DeConnick on there, and she royally screwed up the character. Blood of Zeus production. Blood of Zeus animation style would work great, Britt. And by the way, so Britt's here, so I'm going to play her intro.
He's back.
But yeah, Blood of Zeus would do really dope for an animation style for that. And I'll actually plug in, bring up Blood of Zeus. How about this? So, and Blood of Zeus is an entire like anime series that's based in Greek mythology. That's basically like Greek. That's basically like what if the Greek gods were like superheroes? So, this is the animation style that I think would go the most hard for a Wonder Woman animated series if they did this. I just realized that they didn't show any female characters in the Batman 2004 series. Oh yeah, really? I didn't know that. But yeah, so this is essentially the art style that like Wonder Woman could be in if they went with the Blood of Zeus production team, which I think that is absolutely perfect. Can you imagine Superman and Wonder Woman in a Dragon Ball Z style fight? Yeah, that's what they should look like. That's what they really should. I never heard of it before. It's on Netflix, so to check it out. Yeah, it's a really great series. Well, female heroes besides a Batgirl. Well, yeah, exactly. Because they definitely had Batgirl. And if you're talking about female Justice Leaguer, then yeah. But yeah, so it's one of those things. But so let's see. What other questions do you guys have about Wonder Woman in animation? Is Gaia a Titan or an Elder God? Titan. Because Titans were, I think it's Elder Gods, then Titans, because the Titans were the beings that like ruled before the actual Greek gods. And what happened is the Titan Kronos, I believe you like heard a prophecy that like his spawn will supplant him. So essentially, what he did is he literally ate all of his children, and then Zeus managed to escape, and then Zeus got his powers, showed up, and then essentially cut the Titan open, released the other Greek gods, which are like Poseidon, Aphrodite, and all that stuff, and then it started a war essentially, and then because of the war, that's when the Greek gods became like, for lack of a better term, the rulers of the world, if you will. Is it sad that Harley Quinn got an animated series before Wonder Woman? Yeah, exactly. Because DC was banking so hard on Harley Quinn being a thing, and look at where that led to. Does Wonder Woman have a versus a fan service crossover comic like Batman versus the Predator? She has a not really a versus comic, but she has a crossover, which is Wonder Woman Conan. I should do a re-evaluation of this review. I reviewed this years ago on the channel when I did the indie reviews. but I definitely should re-examine this series because it is ridiculously good. Like really, really, really good. And I'm surprised that they haven't done another one of these. Wonder Woman Conan, yeah, holy, right there, right there, Wonder Woman Conan. DC, it's a crossover with DC and Dark Horse, and it's written by Gail Simone with art by Aaron Lopresti. We should get a legit Tomorrowverse Wonder Woman solo. Would have been better than Bloodlines. Yeah, Tomorrowverse, like the DC, the movie take that like had Crisis in them, definitely respected Wonder Woman like remarkably well. It sounds badass. Yes, it is badass. I would love to read a Wonder Woman vs. Predator comic. I have a pitch for that. My pitch would be that like the gods show up one day for Diana, and they say that like a great challenge is approaching and you must face it, but you cannot have any of your powers or weapons. You must face this on your own as a warrior. So she does that, and then essentially she's fighting a predator. Simone is trying to ship Diana with Conan, though. Yeah, but it's still a good book outside of that, Brit. So I think that like it kind of works in this, but it's an Elseworlds like self-contained thing. CJ, I think you just gave me my first Wonder Woman physical comic to buy. Yeah, it's called Wonder Woman Conan, and it should be in trade form and stuff. It is ridiculously good. It is so good. Good. I'm glad, Omen. Yay! Your first physical Wonder Woman comic. Hell yeah. I think I did crossover with Beowulf. I don't think they did that, but that would be interesting. You really should have gotten a League of One animated movie instead of Bloodlines. Yeah, that would have definitely worked. And then you could reprint it and actually like I don't know, handle it well. Those that don't know what Legal One is, I'll go get that. So, Legal One right here is one of the best. It's a Justice League story, but it's really a Wonder Woman story. And with this, in this story, Wonder Woman is facing a dragon, and there's a prophecy that anyone that faces said dragon will die. So, what Wonder Woman does is she takes down the entire Justice League. So, she is the only one that has to face the dragon. It's essentially like, take me, not them. And then she faces the dragon, almost dies, and then she's revived by Superman. So that's a very truncated version of it. And Britt and I have done episodes talking about this particular storyline, and it is ridiculously good. Updated Witchblade crossover would be neat. Yes, they need that because they did a Justice League Witchblade comic, and I'm like, oh yes, we need that. So you're telling me Wonder Woman is the best friend? It doesn't get a versus comic like Batman and Wolverine. Doesn't sound right. I mean, because she doesn't necessarily need like a versus series. She can do team ups, but she doesn't necessarily need versus because that would be overemphasizing the warrior part, and that isn't something that we kind of need. At least we shouldn't need that because that just leads to like an overemphasis on the warrior part of Diana, and that's where we get like a lot of the bad runs that have happened, like the King run. I hate it when they downplay Wonder Woman feats of power in versus battles. They don't read anything about her and just spit BS. It's a woman who moves the sun twice, and yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like they always downplay her power to like protect a lot to like say, oh, they always downplay how ridiculously powerful Wonder Woman is, and I'm like, no, Diana is like arguably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful DC characters out there, and they just keep downplaying it, if you will. What else you guys got in terms of questions and such? Uh, you notice there were crossover. You would love for Diana. Oh, okay. Well, for one thing, Predator, but I would prefer Wonder Woman crossing over with maybe um who else? Who else would I want Wonder Woman to cross over with? Red Sonja would be pretty fun. You could do Wonder Woman crossing over with obviously an updated Witchblade would be nice, but I would go with more of the Red Sonja. Um, uh, they definitely don't. They definitely don't give Wonder Woman the credit she deserves. How about a little girl getting bit by a rare snake, and Wonder Woman has to race against time to get the antidote to save her? Yeah, that's another Wonder Woman story that would be actually perfect. But again, DC doesn't want to put in the thought, or they don't put on the book writers that actually would have some really cool stuff to say about Wonder Woman. They only put the people that really don't care about her. And I'm sorry, that is just it's despicable because it's like if you do, DC sometimes in terms of DC versus Marvel and who does this more, DC kind of has this issue where they don't put the right writers on the book, and that just leads to like a lot of the BS that we've been dealing with for so long. What about you guys? What other cues do you have for me to answer? Hot take. Wonder Woman talking a little over the bank is yeah, I do like that part. Because again, it gets into the Wonder Woman being that more nurturing character, and she likes it sound. Let's see. Wonder Woman is one of the strongest female characters ever. Yeah, exactly. Do you agree? The adjusting measure cards and power levels mentioned those. Do you take it seriously? Wonder Woman is a no. I don't. I really don't. I think that's just them like randomly saying stuff because I got news for you. Wonder Woman is the strongest. That's just the way it's gonna go. That's just the way it's gonna go. I do not in any way like trust that. That honestly, I don't think they put as much thought into that because Bat should not be 75. I'm just going to tell you that right there because Wonder Woman is 100% stronger than Superman. I'm just going to tell you that right there. From a mindset perspective and from a combat prowess perspective, she is much more powerful than Superman. What other questions? Get me your questions, ladies and gents. Let's see what else you got. What do you think of the witching hour of Wonder Woman? I haven't read that storyline yet. I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard pretty interesting, so I'm definitely gonna check that out. A Wonder Woman fan told me that they want a Wonder Woman series focused on magic. I never knew she delved into magic. What comics do you recommend? Justice League Dark for one thing, or it's really just start at Gods and Mortals and move on from there because Perez introduces everything piecemeal so you understand everything as it goes on. Where it says need a legit Wonder Woman versus Superman, but it's challenging not just physically, but intellectually and emotionally with the conflicts they face. Yeah, exactly. It's like DC, if they did that, would just do the fight and make it super generic and well, not really generic, make it super like actually, yeah, generic and surface level as opposed to actually doing like an actual story out of it. What other cues? Give me some more questions. We're gonna go for probably another 5, 10 minutes or so. So let's make this the last questions, the last batch of questions. Give you another really good question that I can answer. In the meantime, while you guys answer that, so I'm going to go with all right. So as for Comics League content coming out tomorrow, Britt and I are releasing a new Super Wonder Legacy episode where we do a deep dive into New 52 Wonder Woman. And in terms of Wonder Woman Wednesday, I'm still figuring out what I want to do there. As for Under Two Capes, we're going to be talking about how we would make a Wonder Woman game. And as for movie night, I'm still figuring that out what I want to do for that. And Comics League Dark will probably be reviewing Thunderbolts and maybe have a little guest there. And let's see what else. And in terms of Super Wonder Legacy, and next Saturday is going to be a live stream where Britt and I do a Mother's Day live stream. So let's see the questions. A bit off topic, but I have a coworker who said Superman was a boring and changed his mind when I showed him some panels for the new 52 Superman. He didn't realize Superman was that cool. Yeah, I know. Exactly. And NJ says DC should let Diana race Flash more often and not be obsessed with Superman versus Flash. I want the speed of Hermes put to the serious test. That's actually a great idea, NJ. That is actually a terrific idea because that would be so. It would be interesting if they actually let Wonder Woman win. They won't, but it would be kind of funny if they let Diana beat Flash. Watch all the Flash fans freak out. Anyway, I think that's a good place to leave it. So again, that's the content coming out. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will see you next week for Amazon Answers. I am Jared. Remember, stay heroic. And Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs 6 feet in the ground. So it's the Max Map for life. We'll see you later. Bye bye.